fallacy on our list is equivocation. Some logic books of this sort don't list it as a fallacy at all. They list it as a rhetorical error. Some of them list equivocation as a rhetorical error because, in fact, it is a language problem. Do any of you know what it means to say that a word or phrase is equivocal? Yeah. Or something is equivocal. It means that it has more than a word or a phrase that is equivocal has more than one meaning. Now, equivocation fallacy occurs when an argument's cogency depends on a word or phrase being used consistently throughout the argument. An argument's cogency depends on a word or phrase being used consistently throughout the argument. When a word or phrase shifts meaning within an argument, we may have a case of equivocation. We may have equivocation. Now, I'm going to give you the kind of boring examples that you are likely to see in everyday rhetoric. Now, the author of the text talks about how many companies market their products using words or phrases whose meaning is obscure. Low fat, for example. We all have ideas about what low fat means. However, it might not be the same meaning of low fat prescribed by the Food and Drug Administration. As a matter of fact, I don't think that the Food and Drug Administration actually has a clearly defined meaning of low fat. Most of the meaning of low fat that we have is, well, that's something that must be better for us, even though the phrase turns out to be vague for the most part. That's where a shifting meaning can be used against us. That's one example. Now, the text also has another boring example. The example talks about the fact that someone talking about Jesus Christ as the Son of God, and then later in the conversation says that we are all sons of God. Now, the reason why the author of the text uses that example is because in one context it's a little more literally, and in the other sense it's meant more figuratively. And if we didn't catch that, we might end up confused about what it really means. I can make another long story short, bad cliche. The idea is if you see a word or a phrase in an argumentative setting that seems to be used in more than one way, you might have a case of equivocation.